Good afternoon and welcome to Not Minding My Own Business. Again, my name is Russell Farbiars, your estate planning and elder law attorney, and I am joined with the better half of one of our guests from a few weeks ago. I'm joined today by Mayleene DeFreece. Uh, Good afternoon, Mayleene.
Hello, Russell. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
And I said before we went live that you're coming to us straight from outer space, which is I really appreciate you taking the time to zoom on in with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the view from up here. I have to hand that to my husband. He's a big space and Star Trek fan, so it was a good choice for today, I thought.
It is a good choice. So Maylene, why don't we start by just tell us a little bit about what you do and who you help.
What I do, wow. In short, I do real estate, right? So, but what does that actually mean, right?
Right.
Because everybody knows probably 5 to 10 people who are actually real estate agents. But in addition to, being able to get your home sold or help you find your next home to purchase, I do a lot of other things in the real estate industry. So I started out in foreclosures and real estate owned properties, did a lot of work with investors years and years ago. I've been in the industry since about 2006. Worked for 10 years with a business partner, Naveed Musa, who taught me a whole lot of things and a lot about the foreclosures and getting acquainted with bank representatives and asset managers. And through the years, it's just kind of evolved. It's come a long way to the point where not only do I just do the regular residential real estate, I also help from more of a leadership standpoint to mentor and groom and train some younger agents, some less experienced agents, working towards helping people understand that the industry isn't just about putting up a for sale sign in front of your house, and that there's a lot of opportunity, whether it's wholesaling or investing, and group funding and so many things that real estate includes, and helping people understand that, and real estate agents who want to grow their wealth, their financial wealth and their family's wealth, that there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Very interesting. Seems like you've done a lot, and I sort of want to unpack a couple of those things, but I want to start with the concept of wholesaling that you mentioned, because every
Okay.
once in a while, through our title company, I might get someone who's talking about wholesaling, and if you could explain to our listeners a little bit about what that is, how it works.
Sure. There's a couple of different avenues that you can go about getting started. There are a lot of people out there. You might be familiar with the "We Buy Houses" signs. They're pretty much everywhere on every corner. But an investor can go in search of people who might be in need of, let's say, offloading their property for whatever the reason might be. A lot of people could be getting divorced. There could have been a death in the family, and there's a property that's just sitting there and nobody knows what to do with it. Or it could be also other investors who might happen to be in too deep, if you will, and they need to also offload some of their properties. There's a lot of different circumstances where somebody might need the help. Even the aging population, actually, sometimes, depending on their needs, we can either sell it in the residential real estate market, or somebody can come in and wholesale it, or kind of help through the process. And a lot of people used to call when I worked at the Realtor Association, and complain about people who were wholesaling because they were under the wrong impression that what they were doing could be considered illegal. And now, don't get me wrong, every single industry has people who will do unethical things, who will do things inconsistently and for the wrong reasons. But there are certain people out there who will do it the right way. And there are many right here in Berks County who will help people for the sake of helping people, right? And in the process, I think it benefits the homeowner or the owner of the property. It benefits the person who's doing the exchange, and it benefits the community because maybe the property was run down or something like that, and now they're going to renovate it, or somebody's going to renovate it, and it just gives more property and livable space back to the community, which benefits everybody, the neighborhood, the neighbors, the property value goes up, et cetera, et cetera. So wholesaling, again, is something that can be very advantageous to people, especially let's say in an area such as Reading, right, where it's run down, a lot of abandoned properties, but you want to revitalize the area. So that's very important.
So how is it different than going in as a realtor and representing that buyer than when you're doing wholesaling?
So wholesaling, instead of, and you're always representing not so much the buyer, but the seller, right?
Sorry, you're right. I meant the seller. I
That's okay.
haven't finished my coffee yet today.
I didn't even have one yet. I can't even understand that. um, you're always representing the best interest of the seller. But in this particular scenario, when you wholesale something, sometimes you might want be the intermediary person, like a third party, and look for another person to buy the property, right? And you're not necessarily listing it on the MLS or multiple listing service. So you're trying to find either other investors who will flip it, repair it, make it better, and then they sell it again.
Okay, makes sense. And then you also said that you've done some foreclosure work. Now, in the last couple of years, of course, there's not been any foreclosure work to be done, but I fear that we may be heading down that path again. How do you help your clients when it comes to a foreclosure?
So a lot of times, being a real estate agent, my client would be the asset manager, which is the bank who holds a lot of the
Okay.
foreclosed properties. So I would list that for them. If by chance I come across a homeowner, an actual homeowner who is facing foreclosure, that's a completely different story. And we do everything that we possibly can to help them either get out of that scenario or get them another place to go to, because we know that that's coming, and then get that home sold as quickly as possible.
And a lot of times the options there would be a deed in lieu of foreclosure or a short sale. Can you just
Correct.
explain briefly what those are?
So a deed in lieu of foreclosure is basically when you take the deed of your house and kind of give it back to the bank. So the bank takes possession of your property and you kind of walk away from it without that bankruptcy on your record, right? A short sale, which was probably one of the worst things that you could ever go through on the real estate side. Back in the day, there were stacks and stacks of papers, and long story short sale is basically when you put your house for sale on the market because you know that you're not going to be able to afford staying there anymore. So you put your house on the market, but the market value has decreased to the point where you actually owe more money on your mortgage than your house is going to potentially sell for.
Yeah,
And that's a
unfortunately,
big negotiation point between the real estate agents and what kind of offers they can get in to purchase the property, and then the bank representative.
yeah, those fortunately at this point in the real estate market, we don't have to worry as much about that because market value has gone the other way. But in the early 2010s, it was real difficult. And I know I had some estates that I
There were many.
represent. Yeah, I had, and when I had estates that had short sales, those were always horrific because not only did you have realtor commission to pay for, but you also had attorney's fees and personal representative fees, and it was just a real train wreck.
It is a process.
So hopefully we don't go back in that direction. But what's and along those lines, what is your outlook on the real estate market? Are we stable? Are we is our prices going up, going down? what are you seeing out there?
So what I'm seeing right now is, yes, we had an absolutely crazy and astronomical market, right? Where the prices were going $100,000 above and beyond. You'd get like 20 different offers for a property that you'd, have to explain to a seller and, differentiate between all of the little details to try to pick the right one. Massive inventory, lack, basically. We definitely need more houses to be built in this area, but the prices are normalizing, right? So they're coming back to kind of where they kind of should be instead of being so blown up and taken out of proportion. So we're normalizing in the mortgage market, we're normalizing in the actual market prices that we're seeing, and the houses are sitting on the market for a couple of days longer, right? So you're not selling a house in a day anymore. So you are seeing 3 to 5 days, a little bit more longer days on market, things like that.
Okay. And by normalizing, do you mean that the prices are coming back to where they were, or are they just settling at a slightly higher
Right
pace?
now, they are settling slightly higher, right? So we're still, as an economy, still trending upward, but in the long run, we're kind of getting back to normal where you're not going to see houses that are going to sell for 50 to $100,000 over asking price. That's actually going down back to normal.
Okay. That's probably good for everyone, that the volatility is
Certainly.
certainly not, it's good if you're the seller getting $100,000 more than you listed it for, but probably from a system perspective, it's not the best thing to be happening consistently. Now, Mayleene, you've done a lot in real estate. What are you focusing on now?
What I'm focusing on now is a couple of things. So I've taken all of my classes to be able to test for my broker's license. So as soon as the state gives me permission to take the exam, I'll be taking my broker's exam. And I'm also focusing on helping grow Vanguard Realty Alliance, which is a great little company out in Westchester. They have a vision which kind of mimicked the vision of my own that I had over a year ago when I did walk away from working at the Realtor Association, which was basically to help and empower people to learn more about real estate, more about investing, more about different ways that they can financially benefit themselves or family. And personally, I like to teach and mentor again a lot of the agents who come across, whether they're under my brokerage umbrella or not, which where I hang my license right now at Vanguard, but I like to let my peers know. And I have gotten a lot of phone calls of, hey, can you help me? Or, hey, do you have a minute to kind of talk me through this deal that I'm going through? Because it's a lot of negotiation. It's a lot of understanding where people are coming from and not letting egos or emotions really get in the way. And that's a learning process, which I feel like I've gotten so much better with through the years. And if I can help the younger agents understand that and be able
Mhm.
to service the customer service with their clients a lot better, it will just help them with their business as well.
Wonderful. So let's go back to the beginning. We know what you're doing now. We know where you started, but how did you get into real estate?
Frankly, so before my real estate career, my career was a bridge engineer. I designed bridges and tunnels. I worked in Center City, Philly on JFK, and I absolutely was a complete workaholic. But then I was blessed to have multiple children and blessed to have a husband that was able to provide for us. So at the end of the day, there were about 7 of us who were laid off at my engineering job. And I was one of them, clearly, because my son at the time was about a year and a half old in daycare. you know how that goes. They get an ear infection every 2 weeks, then you have to take 2 days off because they can't
Yeah.
go back. So I was a clear choice. At that time, I didn't realize it, but we ended up deciding that I would stay home and raise the children. We do have 3 amazing children right now. Um, they're getting older, and we are so proud of them. But at the time, raising 3 children and paying a daycare fee was going to be kind of astronomical. So in turn of me walking away from my engineering career and becoming a mom, I got a little bored. So at that point in time, I was like, all right, well, let me go get my real estate license. So I've literally never turned back since.
Do you miss the engineering work?
I bask at all the bridges that I see and the glory that they are, but I do not miss the desk job.
I'm sure not. I mean, being a realtor probably is, I would imagine, a lot different. You're out talking to people, looking at new properties. So yeah, it's probably a lot different. Uh,
It certainly is.
what is something about what you do that you think that the average person isn't aware of?
Well, that's a good question. I'm a pretty open book, so I'm not exactly sure how to answer that one.
You are an open book, but there's a conception of realtors, and there's you know when a lot of people think of realtors, like, okay, the realtor shows me the house. What is the stuff that happens in the background that someone wouldn't really know about?
So the background would be, let's say you go to closing, you have an offer accepted, everybody's super excited, right? So what happens? You submit everything to the title company and you get ready for closing, you get ready for settlement, and all of a sudden something pops up. Those are the things that behind the scenes, if you have the right people that you're working with, the right people in the title company, your right mortgage brokers, the right real estate agents, they're going to know exactly, okay, don't panic. We got this.
Because
You know what I mean? So if you
there's
have the right team
yeah.
and they don't allow you to panic, they kind of talk you down and say, hey, this is what's going on, explain it to you accordingly, and help you understand it and work through it and tell you what they're doing to work through it at the same time. That's really important because I've been through quite a few deals where I was on the purchase side twice, pregnant, blame Dominic. So I can understand the stress, the emotional stuff that you go through when you're buying a house. And just recently, I helped another mom who was expecting. And, there's a lot of turmoil that goes on. There's a lot of things that you don't expect, a lot of things that you can't foresee. And being able to help them through it on a human level, to me, is the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what a lot of people don't remember or recognize is there's a lot of detail work that goes into getting from offer accepted to keys.
Absolutely.
And that's and I do think that the realtor plays a very important role in sort of beginning that process and making sure that all the right people are on the team. So that's it's a good thing to highlight. So and you said blame Dominic on the children. I guess
No, on moving me while I was pregnant twice. I never recommend that for anyone.
no.
No.
My my sister just went through that about a year ago because she was building a new house where she lives, and because of all the supply chain issues, she ended I
Oh,
think they ended up
wow.
closing after she had the baby, which you don't want to move pregnant, but you don't want to move with a newborn either.
Correct.
Yeah.
Um, Funny little story. For our first son, who's now 20 and in college, God love him. So we moved a week before he was born, and we actually caught one of those previously foreclosed and renovated properties and bought that and moved into it. And the night before I went into labor, I was laying down kitchen flooring.
That's just, it probably moved the labor along if
Most likely.
yeah. So I know that you're, originally not from the Berks County area, but uh what brought you here?
So that's a long, long story. Originally, I am from Queens, New York. Back in the 80s, 90s, my parents moved me out to the Poconos, which is where I actually met Dominic. And after that, I did end up going to Penn State, graduated the Harrisburg campus, and after that, got careers in Philadelphia. And then after we started having a family, and that first house that I was putting the flooring down was getting a little bit too small for the family that we were having. So we were looking for a larger home, and basically it was the cost of living and the market that had us move west when I found our house out here, which would have been double back in when we used to live in Montgomery County.
Okay. And what is your fondest memory of the Berks County area since you moved here?
I actually love the pagoda.
Oh, nice.
I really do. I'm a very structural oriented person with a background in architectural engineering and structural engineering, and that building just blows me away. I think we should do so much more with it.
I I agree, and there was a time when I think that it was used more for, networking groups or whatnot, but it seems like it just isn't uh really utilized that much. But maybe you can change that. Maybe you can revitalize it.
I think it's beautiful. I would
Mm.
love to get some more activity up there. We do have there's like a car race that goes up there, the hill
Mhm.
climb,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, but I think that's really it in terms of utilizing. Like there's a lot more potential there. So,
Indeed.
so so what do you like to do when you're not working?
Oh boy, when I'm not working, I'm typically running my children around.
You're the chauffeur, right?
Yes, absolutely. The bus driver.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know that problem. I have the same. I'm the same thing.
absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I kind of try to take it in as much as I possibly can because I know in the blink of an eye, I won't be doing that anymore, and as it is, because my children are older, there's more time in the day for me to focus on my career, which is really exciting for me because
Mhm.
they're very self-sufficient. They just don't drive yet.
Well, well, some of them do, but not all of them. But
Derek does, Bella's learning, and Devin's not there yet.
yeah, yeah. And so they're all in high. Well, Derek is in college, but the other two are now in high school. I thought I saw.
Correct. Correct. Our youngest is 14 and he's a freshman in high school. And our girl, Isabella, is a senior now this year in high school as well.
Wow, it it goes fast. I know. I know. Um,
So fast.
yeah. So how often are you able to get away, and where do you like to vacation?
So we don't get away as much as we'd really like to. That needs to be made a priority so that we can do that a lot more often. But I have to say, one of my favorite vacations was most definitely when Dominic and I went to Aruba.
Oh, I love Aruba.
It's
That's
gorgeous.
yes.
It is,
Aruba's perfect. 85 degrees and no humidity almost every day.
isn't it though? It's perfect.
So then what you're saying is that the next time I see Dominic, I need to suggest to him that he take you back to Aruba.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
I'm sure he'll love that.
He won't mind. He likes cold. I can't understand that. He
I,
wants to go to Alaska, which I would love to see the Northern Lights.
Yes.
I hear that's magical. I'm just not a snow girl.
Yeah, I understand. So where in Queens did you grow up?
In Astoria,
Astoria. Okay.
yes. So
So you,
there's this famous strip of shopping called Steinway Street, and all the way up at the end of Steinway Street, you might have heard of a Steinway piano.
Mhm.
Yep. So my mom, when I was a little girl, she worked up at Steinway Piano,
Oh,
and I
wow.
got to see them being created and put together, and it was just amazing.
Wow, that's really interesting. Wow. Well, Mayleene, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. Is there is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
I don't think at this point in time that there's anything specific other than even though I hang my license in a brokerage that sits currently in Westchester, I am still here to do business here in Berks.
So your market, you're looking to develop business right here in Berks County.
Absolutely. I'm still, working with buyers, sellers, and investors right here.
And if someone's listening and wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Oh, absolutely. That would be my cell phone number, 484-818-0036.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mayleene DeFreece. Uh, if you have any real estate needs, certainly give Mayleene a call because I know that she will take care of anyone that she works with very well. And thank you again for listening to another episode of Not Minding My Own Business.
Thank you so much, Russell.